Human Weaponry, Interrogation. A story by user TunnelRat. At some point, I must have fallen asleep. I woke up to a knock at my door. I had slept with my head on the desk and had the worst cramp in my neck. I was pushing my white hair out of my face when the person on the other side of the door spoke. "Oziz, you awake?" I went and opened the door with a touch. This was a much younger human than Sergeant Garrick, or at least it looked that way. "Sergeant Garrick requests you make your way to the brig. I can escort you." "Yes, of course. Let me change back into my uniform." I closed the door. It'll be good to get the baggy human clothes off of me. I'm going to have to redo my hair, though. At some point during sleep, it had become undone, and now my hair was covering my face. It wasn't a difficult process, though. I just had to get it all in between my ears so it rested down my neck and back. Then I put a clip in to hold it in place. I didn't know what to do with the human clothes, so I laid them out on the bed. I may have to sleep here again. I had read much before I slept. Human nuclear weapons were destructive, to be sure. But what was more concerning was the quantity. The United States alone had over 14,000 nuclear warheads, all now ship-to-ship capable. Not only that, but the second largest human nation, Eurasia, controlled over 28,000. Though much less were shipboard than the Americans. Based on what I read, this cruiser I'm on alone could have enough nuclear missiles to wipe out the population of a sizable planet. Fast, too, over 50,000 miles per hour at top speed. Luckily, humans seemed to never want to use them. Researching nukes had led me through a lot of Earth history, in which nuclear weapons were used only 3 times, and 2 of them were in the same war. Much longer ago than the third instance. The third usage saw the Americans using a hydrogen nuclear missile on what was then called Russia. Most species that discovered these weapons before space travel become extinct, yet these humans had them for over 100 years before they discovered faster-than-light travel. Now back in my familiar brown uniform, I went back to open the door. Before I did, I hesitated and glanced back toward the desk, where I knew I had hidden the human sidearm I took from the armory earlier. I decided to leave it and open the door. The human was now standing up straight next to my door. I got another confirmation that they were young, as they curiously looked me up and down before realizing they should probably do their job. "The brig is this way. We just need to get to the elevator, and then it's a short walk to the viewing chamber." "Very well, you lead the way." We began moving toward the elevator, the same one I had taken up to my room. The doors closed on it automatically once we were inside. The brig must be much lower in the ship, as we were moving for quite a while. I took the opportunity to ask something I was curious about. "So, why do you humans seem to have 2 names each? I noticed your and Sergeant Garrick's name tags have 2 different names." The human had relaxed a bit since he first spoke to me. "It's a first and last name. Serves to better differentiate ourselves from each other, and signify what family we are from. We use our last name generally for formal purposes." "Interesting. Why would you need 2 names to differentiate yourselves? In case someone else has the same first name." "Why would you and someone else have the same name?" "Because they're—" The door opening cut off whatever other ridiculous question he was going to ask. On the way to observation, we had to stop twice for the human to stop, stand up straight, and move his right arm and hand up to his face while someone walked past. Human military customs are quite strange, or possibly just American customs. We eventually made it to the door that the human opened by inputting a code. He then held it open and motioned me inside, then closed it again. Inside was a table and more small chairs, Sergeant Garrick and 2 others, and a window looking into a room with a desk and 2 chairs around it. "Glad you could make it, Oziz. I know this isn't your usual job, but you're the only one from your species here." Garrick was back in his combat gear. I'm guessing he was going to serve as the muscle if any of the Floresian prisoners decided to get physical. That and the other human guards surely located in the brig. A large, heavy-looking door opened in the room I could see through the window. A smaller Floresian walked through and sat down, before the door closed automatically behind him. This was the first time I had gotten a good look at one. They weren't all black like I had thought. They had large armor plates on their body that were black. But the visible skin between them was more gray, similar to myself. I had thought these creatures were wearing combat armor, but it looked like it was actually natural. Additionally, at least this individual had white streaks going up its arms. It did look very thin from what I could tell, though not like me. I am thin compared to humans because my home gravity is less than that of Earth. I'm not malnourished. This individual looked unhealthy and moved in a fashion to suggest sickness. It had some sort of device on one of its wrists, possibly something to track its movement. An older-looking human in white formal wear opened a different door and walked in. They were in formal dress, but they still had a holstered weapon on their hip. They sat down on the other side of the table from the Florisian. The human spoke in a bit of a different way than the others, enunciating different parts of words for some reason. "Good morning, friend. Is the translator we gave you working?" The Florisian spoke, or at least the translator did, in a monotone voice. "True." "Very well. I'm going to ask you some basic questions about your species. Is that okay?" "That isn't my decision." "You can't answer questions?" "I'm not permitted." "Not permitted by whom?" "Leader unknown." The translator must have not had a word for whatever the Florisian said. "This leader, were they on the ship with you?" "True." "Then they are dead." "They're dead?" "Most definitely." The Florisian looked down for a moment, then glanced at the device placed on his wrist. It seemed to be pondering something. Finally, it turned back to the human interrogator. "What do you want to know?" If you're new here, welcome aboard. Check out the description for the story, and join the Discord if you like. Consider supporting the channel and the author as well. It's a dangerous world out there, but remember to be brave and look up to seek the stars.